Despite the trial though, YNW Melly and his manager stood firmly by each other's side, ready to face whatever came their way. Hey yo, YNW Melly's trial has been quite a roller coaster ride. The rapper has been in jail since 2019 for the unfortunate murders of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie in 2018. But things took a surprising turn when the jury couldn't agree on a verdict, leading to a mistrial on July 22nd.
It's not the verdict we would want, of course, but you know, it's a second chance, and I take that literal for everything. Second chance at life, second chance for a better defense. So, you know, I'm excited.
Now, here's the exciting part. YNW Melly's manager, 100K Track, is super pumped about the mistrial. He sees it as a golden opportunity for YNW Melly to come home soon. Yeah, it wasn't the exact verdict they wanted, but it's like a second chance for the rapper to get a better defense. You know, a shot at freedom. And guess what? 100K Track is convinced that Melly's release is just around the corner. Even though they took away his phone privileges ages ago, Melly's keeping his cool and diving into his music. He knows he'll be back in the game sooner or later. The trial itself was no piece of cake. This joint lasted 19 long days. Can you believe it? But the prosecution and Melly's defense team gave their closing arguments on July 20. But the jury couldn't reach a decision until July 21st, making them work through the weekend. Whew, tough stuff. But in the end, the judge declared a mistrial, giving props to the jury for their hard work and dedication. It's clear that everyone involved wants a fair and just outcome. In a recent interview, 100K Track shared some insightful details about the day of the tragic incident. He was at home all day, playing video games like 2K20 and 2K19.
I was home that whole day playing video games, playing 2K. I think it was 2K20 something or 2K19. I was just playing video games the whole day.
Meanwhile, he mentioned that Melly was in the recording studio. The next morning, Track received a call about the tragic news of Juvie and Sack's murders. He felt heartbroken and confused, not knowing what was happening. He rushed to see Melly, who was already surrounded by his mom and some others, all trying to grasp what had happened. Despite the pain, Melly decided to keep his mind occupied with shows, video shoots, and other stuff. Can you imagine that? It takes real strength to put on a brave face in the midst of such a heartbreaking situation. Now, during the trial, things got even more interesting. They brought up some critical text messages, revealing what happened after the incident. Melly sent the pen to Fredo Bang, who swiftly came to pick him up. But wait, the defense threw in a twist, trying to raise doubts about whether it was really Melly texting. They argued about the phone number and stuff, making it a real puzzle to solve. Track was there too, but the memories were a bit fuzzy. He couldn't remember if he saw Melly at Fredo Bang's crib or some other spot. It was all a whirlwind of emotions, and he visited both houses that day. Damn, what a roller coaster.
Sack and Juvie were killed after leaving the recording studio. Portland arrived at the hospital at 4:35 a.m. This week, prosecutors played a video of Melly and Portland at a video shoot later that day.
Despite all the pain and hurt, Melly showed incredible strength during a video shoot later that day. Like, bro, could you visualize that? Man, he was a true pro, fulfilling his commitments even with the weight of the world on his shoulders. The atmosphere was heavy, but Melly pushed through though, trying to stay strong. You could see that he was hurting, but he kept his head up and got the job done. Talk about a real trooper. Track was asked if anyone ever threatened Melly and his friends before the tragic incident. He responded, "When you're in the limelight and making money, you're gonna receive hate and death threats from people you know and even those you don't. It's part of the game. Standard when it comes to fame and success." I'm pretty sure he was getting threats, just like other artists I know. Now, let's talk about those text messages. Detective Moretti read some sizzling exchanges to the jury. Sack Chaser, man, whew, he seemed pretty heated with Melly's mom, Jamie. Something was definitely going on in the months leading up to that tragic incident. The messages were tense, and Melly didn't hold back, using some harsh words to describe Jamie. There was definitely some drama brewing in the background.
Trying to bull do me, why? And that's always worried about me, and what you talking about how you gonna leave, and we can't even get in the gate without you be on some crazy.
Track replied, saying that people have miscommunications and arguments sometimes, but they are never serious. He emphasized that Melly and his friends always had the utmost respect for his mother, Jamie. While there were certain things she may not have liked or found appropriate, it was all part of normal family dynamics. Track mentioned that any disagreements or miscommunications they had were not deeply rooted, and they still had good times together. He believed that such situations are normal in any family, and there was never any malicious intent or animosity between them. Track continued expressing that he truly believed there was no bad blood between Melly, his friends, and his mother. They used to have Sunday dinners at the house where everyone would eat, talk, and have a good time. He felt that those gatherings were a testament to the positive relationship they shared. While there might have been times when they didn't see eye to eye and approach things differently, it was all part of learning and growing together. When asked about the prosecution's claim that shots were fired into the car after Juvie and Sack were already dead, and whether he had any thoughts on Portland being involved, Track responded thoughtfully.
Justice do need to be served. I understand that completely, but I feel like everybody from state to the prosecution, they're looking in the wrong direction, because at the end of the day, they got two people in there fighting for their life that did nothing but love and appreciate.
He mentioned that the case had caused a lot of speculation, but he couldn't speak on the details due to the ongoing trial. However, he emphasized that the truth would come to light eventually, and he believed in the justice system to reveal what truly happened. He also expressed his trust in Melly's legal team to present a strong defense and ensure that the truth prevails. When discussing Melly's interviews, where he mentioned having two personalities, Melly and Melvin, Track responded candidly. He said Melly truly believes he has two personalities, and that's not just part of his act. Track explained that Melly's two personalities, Melly and Melvin, are primarily for entertainment purposes in his music. He clarified that these personas emerged as a creative expression, allowing Melly to provide different types of songs to his audience. Sometimes he adopts the Melly persona for love songs, while the Melvin persona is more edgy and street-oriented. Track also mentioned that having multiple personalities for artistic expression is not uncommon in the entertainment industry. He cited examples like Beyonce's Sasha Fierce and T.I.'s Tip, where artists embrace different personas for their music. Track was asked if Melly always carried a gun. He responded that he didn't have much information about it. He mentioned that Melly, like many other in the entertainment industry, might carry guns for personal safety and protection, given the nature of their fame and the threats they receive.
Always make sure he was protected even before the incident. After the incident, that's my job, and my company job is to make sure he's moving with licensed security that could make sure he's not getting harmed or hurt and make it back home safe. I do that for all my clients. So
Track continued by stating that he always prioritized Melly's safety, ensuring that he had licensed security before and after the incident. As a manager, it's his responsibility and it's standard practice for all his clients. He affirmed that Melly personally never needed anything related to firearms while working with them. In this groovy Vlad TV flashback from last year, 100K Track laid down some epic predictions about YNW Melly's future.
His level of just talent is phenomenal. Honest truth, it's crazy. Like the music you guys heard was him at like 60% potential, being excited, coming home, drinking liquor, just having a good time.
Man, this guy's confidence was through the roof. Track firmly believed that Melly would crush that murder charge and come out on top. They had each other's back and knew there was no solid evidence against their boy. They even called out the burden of proof thing, saying it's not cool that Melly had to prove his innocence. When asked if a guilty verdict would change their view of Melly, Track was like, no way, man. They would ride or die for their dude. Melly was family, and there was no doubt about his innocence in their minds. They couldn't even fathom such a crazy outcome, especially because he was accused of hurting his own close friends. Those were people he loved deeply, and Track knew he'd never do something like that.
Like Melly, whole career, we've been kind of just figuring it out. He never really was in position to go too crazy because he's been dealing with legal situation. But this project, y'all gonna see him work more outside his comfort and more with his peers.
But hey, there's always two sides to the story, right? The prosecution might use Melly's songs against them, like Murder on My Mind. But Track was quick to throw some shade at that idea. They said it's just ridiculous to use music videos featuring the alleged victims as evidence against Melly. Come on, that's just reaching. He added that there's an album in the works as well, and it's getting ready to be dope. They mentioned some big names involved in the project. Melly's gonna shine like a diamond when he gets out, and Track was so hyped for that. They predicted some massive success, like diamond and platinum certifications. Hey yo, Melly's getting ready to make real waves, and we can't wait for it. After the YNW Melly trial, some interesting details came to light about the jury's decisions. A former juror spilled the beans to local news 10, revealing that most of the jurors were leaning towards finding the rapper guilty for the death of his friends, YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser back in 2018.
Jamel Demons faces the possibility of the death penalty if convicted of the 2018 murders of his two friends and fellow rappers, Chris Thomas Jr. and Anthony Williams. They went by YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser.
However, they couldn't all agree, which led to a mistrial declaration, as they couldn't reach an unanimous decision on whether he was guilty or innocent. The former juror pointed out that one particular woman played a significant role in causing the mistrial. Right from the start, she had issues with the chosen foreperson and displayed visual signs of frustration during their deliberations. The former juror described her behavior as explosive, manipulative, and downright rude, as she didn't hesitate to hurl insults at anyone who had a different opinion. During the course of the discussions, it seemed that the majority of the jurors, 11 to be precise, were in favor of convicting YNW Melly of manslaughter. However, the woman managed to sway the opinions of 2 jurors, resulting in a deadlock and ultimately the declaration of a mistrial. Interestingly, the former juror's account contradicts the claims made by YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, on social media. She asserted that most of the jury was actually leaning towards finding her son not guilty. Despite the mistrial, the prosecution has made it clear that they are not backing down. They will retry YNW Melly for a double murder. He is set to appear in court soon for a status hearing, and jury selection for the new trial is scheduled for October. As the legal proceedings continue, the case remains under scrutiny, with conflicting stories about the jury's sentiments and the ultimate outcome of the trial. Looking ahead to the future, if Melly is released, Track expressed ambitious plans for him, aiming to expand his presence and reach across the globe, performing in various continents and states. The future holds promising opportunities for Melly's career, and when asked about Portland, Track responded with a similar sentiment, emphasizing that 5 years is a significant portion of these young individuals' lives. He expressed hope that they could somehow make up for that lost time, aiming for each year to be fruitful and successful, making up for the time they lost tenfold. He recognized the impact of 5 years and wanted to ensure that the future holds positive and rewarding experiences for both Melly and Portland. Indeed, it is clearly evident that Track and Melly have formed a strong and close bond over the years. However, due to the current circumstances, they are unable to communicate as Melly's phone privileges have been taken away while he is in jail. Despite this setback, their connection remains strong, and Track continues to support Melly during this challenging time. All in all, Track was feeling pretty optimistic about Melly's future. The trial might be tough, but they had each other's backs. The truth will come out, man. Peace.